It's been several years since Daria Klimentová spoke to the LBC. In fact, it was September 2013. So since then, Daria's been a very busy woman, and it's definitely time we caught up with her and found out what she's been up to these past 10 years. Daria, it's wonderful to see you again, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and see us tonight. You have many friends at the LBC. It's lovely to have you back.
Thank you very much. Thank you for not forgetting me.
Never. And as you can see, this is not Graham Watts on your screen. Graham was going to do the interview, but unfortunately he had a conflict in his schedule and had to pull out. I'm very grateful to Fiona Erleigh for stepping in at short notice and taking this on this evening. Many of you know Fiona. She's not only an LBC trustee, but she's the events secretary. So you'll have had lots of back and forth with Fiona on booking events. And after tonight, I think she can add a new line to her CV, interviewer. If you would like to ask questions of Daria, please type them in your chat box, which is at the bottom of your screen. And if you give your first name, that would be great. So that's all from me. And now please join Fiona Erleigh and I in welcoming Daria Klimentová for this evening's In Conversation.
Thank you, Susan. Well, it's lovely to be here. It is my first time doing this, so I hope you will bear with me. Yes, I would like to apologize for not being Graham Watts, because I'm sure many of you will know that he worked with Daria on this great book about her life to 2013, I think. So about the same time and it's a wonderful read. She's so open and honest in it, and I'm sure she's going to regale us with many stories today. So I'm sure many of you are aware of her very long career as a prima ballerina. I think about 25 years in total, including obviously 18 years at English National Ballet, and before that at Scottish Ballet, Cape Town City Ballet, and of course her native Czech National Ballet. But today, and of course she also performed in many galas and guest appearances worldwide. So I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about that later. But I wanted the majority of today's discussion to be around what Daria did next. And I'm sure as part of that, she'll be happy to take questions on any part of her career at any point in this discussion. So let's start at the very back, because it's very interesting. Daria is not at home at the moment, so I'd like to ask her where she is and what she's doing there, and she can tell you.
I am in Scotland, Glasgow, and I am working with Scottish Ballet as a ballet mistress, and I am rehearsing the principal dancers in Cinderella, choreography by Christopher Hansen. And I'm really, really enjoying myself.
And this is a role that you performed when you were there, I assume.
Yes, but it was a different version. I think it was Peter Darrell's Cinderella, if I remember. I have to warn you, I'm still young, but I feel like I don't really remember anything, so I'm really sorry. I won't say, I haven't got... Yeah, you probably know more than I do.
No, but someone on here will, and they'll put it in the chat to remind us of facts and figures that we don't remember.
So I don't know exactly if it was Peter Darrell's, but I think so. And so I danced Cinderella here. It was first time, actually.
Right. And so you're coaching the Cinderellas or other?
I'm coaching the principal dancers. Yes, both of them, Prince and Cinderella.
And will you be there for some time doing that, or how does this work?
Yeah, how does it work? I'm going to be there till opening night, so that means 6 weeks. Well, I've already been there 1 week, and the opening night is on the 9th of December. And after that, I go back to London.
And is this a new experience for you, coaching principal dancers?
It is new experience, yes. I did teach in a ballet companies, but I was giving just classes. So it was like very exciting for me to come and actually coach. I mean, I do love giving classes, but it's a little bit it's not going anywhere. Like in a school, you are working on something, you are preparing the students to be a professional dancers, which is great. But in a companies, you just basically classes to warm them up for the day and just keep that technique going. So this is something much more interesting for me.
Yeah, there's characterization to do as well.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, that's one of the reasons actually. Well, not one of the reasons. That's the reason why I left the Royal Ballet School after nearly 10 years. I just wanted to work with professionals and yes, work in the companies.
So this is your first opportunity. Well, we would say best of luck with that, I think, and look forward to hearing more of it as time. So let's go back then to the Royal Ballet School, as you've mentioned that, because I think what people will be interested to hear is there's always that huge transition as a ballerina, what comes next. And it'd be interesting to understand from you now that you look back on it about how you thought about changing, well, what would come next in your career and how you would go about making that happen.
Yes, it was difficult. Even if it's your decision, it is still difficult because for me, dance was my life. And once you are a dancer, you're always dancer. I am still dancer in my head. It's just the body doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was difficult, but I am quite always organized, always thinking about the future. I don't leave it till the last day and suddenly like, oh my God, what am I going to do? No, I did prepare myself at least 5 years before I start because I was just thinking like, oh, maybe it will be tomorrow, maybe next year I will stop. Yes, but I had no idea what I want to do. That was the problem because, and I think most of the dancers have this problem. We just give absolutely everything 200% to the dancing and you don't even see anything, you don't want to hear anything, it's just your world. So but what I did is I just sat down and I was just thinking, okay, so what do I like? So okay, I like photography. Then I thought, okay, teaching, well, I've been organizing my international ballet master classes in Prague for 21 years now. Okay, so I thought probably I like teaching, wasn't kind of sure because it is different to teach in the school or in the company than to have 2 weeks of master classes. And there you just give the classes and you coach them in variation, make sure they are enjoying themselves and that they get inspired and hopefully learn something. So I was not quite sure if I can do that. And then I was just thinking, okay, well, I like gardening. So I thought maybe I could be a gardener. But then I thought, okay, so gardening is actually quite a hard work. It's not just cutting flowers, and that would be a designer, wouldn't it? So yeah, I canceled being gardener. Then okay, photographer. I really love that, but I thought it would be difficult to make a living from it because especially now in these days when the mobile phones are really good. I think it's hard to basically make a living from my photography. So then I just thought, okay, well, I will try to be a teacher. Even before that, I was doing that teacher's course at the Royal Ballet School. I thought I want to have a paper just in case I want to decide to teach. Also wanted to learn something, even that I was not planning to stop dancing yet. How it happened? Okay, it was getting closer. I was dancing a Corsair. Maybe some of you still seen it. I would be preparing for the show, and then when the show came, like 2 days before, I would get a swollen knee. So they had to cancel my show. And then it was basically the whole year like this, going on and, off. I was getting in pain a lot, and I just thought, okay, well, maybe it's time, maybe it's coming the time. Then I saw a Corsair, I saw video of me dancing the Corsair, and I just like thought, maybe not, maybe not anymore. I mean, you probably didn't see it, but I know myself really well. I know my body, and I just thought, no, it started. I don't want to look like that. I just want to look and live, in my best, and I did that for myself. Okay, so then there was an audition for a job at White Lodge. So I thought, okay, well, I will try it. Not that I wanted to teach little kids. I just thought, okay, I will take it as a practice, as an audition to whatever school. So I went there, did the audition. I was really, really nervous, didn't know what I was doing. But because I got so upset, usually when I get upset and very insecure, I go and say to myself, well, I will show you I can do it. I will show you all I can do it. So I went and I gave a performance of my life. Well, that's what I thought. And yes, Mr. Pawney, he offered me job, but he on the interview he said, "Well, I'm really sorry, but I cannot have you at White Lodge, but I would like to offer you a job at upper school." And me here inside me, I was just like, yes. But I didn't show it to him. I was just like playing cool. I was like, okay, well, I will think about it. I will let you know. But I actually already knew, yes, I'm going to go and try that. So that's then I was at Royal Ballet School. That's how it happened.
I love that story. It's just great.
But I kept dancing. I still kept dancing actually secretly.
Yes, I was going to ask about that, but now you've mentioned it, let's talk about it now, because just because you retire from the stage of English National Ballet, full-length ballets, or even full-on one-act ballets, I saw that you did continue doing some dancing. Do you want to talk about the things that you did?
Yes, well, I kept dancing. Well, I left the company when I was 43, and I kept dancing till I was 48. I'm quite old now. Yeah, no, I did it secretly because I wasn't really supposed to do that. I was really supposed to concentrate on the students, but I did. I was very professional, and everything was for students. Only after, when I had like Saturday, Sundays or during the half term or in summer, then I would go and dance and do a sort of kind of galas. I wouldn't do difficult stuff like with like a Don Q or full length ballet. No, that's no way. I did more like neoclassical ballet or just the adage of some different ballets. And I did it with Vadim, and it was really nice. He was carrying me around.
Well, did you do things like Manon pas de deux? What kind of things?
Yeah, Manon,
yes.
Manon as well. And what was really nice of Vadim, that when he was young, I introduced him to all the galas I went to. And when I was getting older and left basically the company, he was giving me, paying me back, and he was taking me to his galas, which was really nice and like really supporting. I was supporting him when he was young, and he was supporting me when I was old as a dancer, because I'm still young.
Well, I think it's amazing how that that ebb and flow of what happens in careers, passes from one to the next generation, and then and I guess he's now doing it with other younger dancers and so on. So yeah, it's and then there's a whole community of all of you dancers that know each other from all of these galas and stuff. So it's a good world out there.
Ballet world is very small, actually.
Yeah. But just to come back to teaching, it must have been quite daunting on your first day arriving in a classroom. You've mentioned, of course, that the master classes is about having fun, but I'm sure there's a psychological aspect as well to even the master classes, because you are still responsible for young people, but it's not the same as presumably being in a classroom where you've got these students for the full year and you've got to do something with them for that year.
Yeah, exactly. No, I learned a lot over the 10 years. I learned so much. The first day was disaster. Well, not disaster here inside me. It's just I turned up for class, and then I had these 15 gorgeous, the most talented girls I've ever seen as a student, and they were all standing there with those big eyes. Okay, so what are you going to tell us? And because as a dancer, we are we are selfish, very quiet. Just the world is around us. It's just us. And suddenly It was them, and they wanted to hear all my knowledge and everything. I struggled to actually, how do you say it? Basically, to give it to them. I struggled. I didn't know how. It was all there, but I didn't know how. Firstly, I didn't know how to speak. Not just English, but to put all this out to them. And I also didn't know how to structure the class.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the course and they taught you all that, but you learned only if you are actually there in front of them. So yeah, so I thought it was quite a disaster. I think I gave a kind of a company class without any, aim. I just didn't know how to do it yet. And I think it went like this, the whole year was like this. And after the first month, I wanted to resign. I just thought I cannot do this. I just cannot do it. And I asked the pianist who was playing for my class. I just came to her and I said, "How do you do it? How do you do if I want to resign?" And she was her face was so shocked. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm sure it won't be necessary. I'm sure it won't be necessary." And I went and I hidden in the toilet and I was just crying there. I was so tired because again was not used to talk all day. It's I find it so tiring. I mean, I'm okay now. It's I'll be honest with you, it took me 7 years to actually feel comfortable in that building.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long time.
But I guess we are all individuals, so for somebody it's probably faster than for me. But for me, it was about 7 years when I actually felt really comfortable.
Well, I'm quite shocked by what you say there, because I think those girls are there just to, you're a prima ballerina, you've got all of this experience, you know what it takes to be on the stage and to give your soul or whatever on stage, while being secure in the technique, or as secure as one can be. And so you must have had to help them deal with those kind of psychological things, or at least to try and prepare them in that direction.
But to be a good dancer doesn't mean you are a good teacher.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to be able to actually give it to them. I felt like a psychologist more than anything else, because you have to have a different approach to a single each of the students.
Yes.
And that's why I learned so much, all sorts of different techniques, but also the school helped us a lot. We had all these, they are still having all these lectures, how to actually teach, how to approach the students the best way. And it was at least 5 times a year. We had all these lectures.
Yeah.
And we worked in pairs with other teachers. They were teaching us, which word we can use, which word we can't use. I mean, I learned so much, like so much, and I'm so grateful to all that. And I think I'm a really good teacher.
Well, I think probably many of the audience have been to the Royal Ballet School on the annual day that we come to visit. And I know I've certainly been to one of those where you were teaching the class, and it was marvelous. Obviously, it must be a different atmosphere when you've got an audience there, and probably you're less critical. But I think teaching has changed substantially, probably from how when you were a child. And I know Vadim and many other students talk, or professionals talk about how they were treated at school, and it's a very different environment now. So it must be an ongoing learning process.
Yeah, it is completely different, yes. But when you came to watch, it's pretty same how I was teaching. You don't criticize the students. You're trying to help them, but not by criticizing them.
Yeah.
You are encouraging them. You don't tell them how badly you did it. You tell them how to do it. You don't criticize them. That's not good. If somebody would criticize you, I would go and say, "Oh, you're sitting there so wrongly. Like why are you not sitting and holding your back?" You're
Okay.
gonna feel bad, that I think of you that you're not sitting how you're supposed to. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't criticize the students. I encourage them. I'm trying to have a nice atmosphere in the studio, which I think is very important. You have to make them feel good. If you make them feel good, they go and they give back to you. They learn much more. You go and you ask questions. You make them to actually realize, how it's possible to have it done. Then instead of just passively listening to me, or you do it like this, like this. No, I am trying to make them to think or to find out how to do it, and you actually remember it better. It's a lot of conversation. I mean, that doesn't mean that I just talk through the whole class. Yeah, we obviously have to do ballet. Yeah, and I do push them a lot. I do demand a lot as well. It's not like that I just give them a free hand. Like
Oh, yes, because you must set more challenging combinations and that kind of thing.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I had my build my whole technique how to get the best out of them, and I always thought that if I can't be the best dancer anymore, my students will be the best dancers. That's the way I was always approaching it.
Yeah,
So
well,
I would give everything to them.
well, I'm sure you've had many students come through your classes that we would actually recognize on stage now. So, I'm sure you must get some satisfaction from that, or and seeing how their careers progress and following them as their lives go on. I
Yes, of
assume.
course, yes, of course. But it's very very slow process. You just have to repeat the same movement over and over and over, and it's like 3 times they can do it and 5 times they cannot do it. They are still young. They still trying to learn, what's their body doing, like how, the muscles, how it works. They're learning psychologically a lot because it does influence the dancing enormously. The way you feel, the way you can control the emotions. So they're learning all that. Yes. It's very difficult to be teacher. I find that it's more difficult than to be a dancer, because dancer is just selfish, and now it's about everybody else. It's not about you.
No, absolutely. So then, you must have learned something from how you taught at Royal Ballet School that's then overflowed into your master classes, which, as you mentioned, you started about 20 years ago, which is quite an unusual thing to do, or at least was then. I think more dancers now start to do more teaching while they're currently dancing. But your Prague masterclasses seem to be one of the forerunners there. So I wonder if you can talk about how that came about.
Yes, they just kind of, it was about, I don't know, 8 years after, the sorry, I don't know all the words, how I want to say it. I wish I could say it in Czech.
Sorry.
Yeah, basically after the communism, it was about 7 years or something like that, 8 years, and there was nothing happening in Czech Republic. So and I had all these, I was in London, and I was doing all these galas. All my friends were all these big, gorgeous dancers, and I don't know. I wanted to bring all these people to the Czech students. Everything was because I'm very nationalistic. Czech, yes, and I always been. Yeah. So yeah, and I wanted to bring as an inspiration those stars to come and inspire them, and also I wanted to bring the international students. I wanted to put them together with my Czech students, no, not mine, but Czech students, so that they can compare, how they dance, if they're good, if they're not. I wanted to make. I wanted them to become friends,
Yeah.
learn from each other, and it's just incredible satisfaction this that it worked, and for so long I didn't know it's going to work so much. I mean, if you would just be standing there and watch the students, how happy they are in front of I don't know, Polina Semyonova, who puts pong shoes on and she just goes and demonstrated there. It's just, I don't know, it makes me so happy that the students are really happy as well, and that they work so hard. And Prague is gorgeous city. I don't know, probably most of you went there for holidays.
Yeah.
And it's warm, it's summer, beautiful city. We are hiring the studios from the Czech National Ballet, so it's like the whole big complex. So it's and a canteen we've got there. So it's a really nice atmosphere, basically.
I mean, it sounds and looks absolutely wonderful. And I do have to, at this point, tell everybody that there are many wonderful videos on Daria's Instagram. It's definitely worth following her on there. And if you're not on Instagram, you need to be, because all the ballet dancers are. And that will close the care off. I've seen that you've had many amazing guest teachers join you at your master classes in Prague, and I wondered, do you know beforehand that they are going to be good teachers? Or, I mean, obviously once they've been there a few times, you know that they're going to be good and whatnot, but you have to take some risks at some point, I would have thought. And tell me how that works out.
Yeah, no, of course there was some risk. I always make sure that I have a good teachers there as well as the inspiration. You know, the principal dancers, the ballerinas who are still dancing, they are the inspiration, and they usually teach variations. So you kind of don't need to be like a schooly teacher. You know, it's just you teach them the rep, you know, how to do the fingers, arms, épaules, and they can do that the best because they are still doing it.
Yeah.
So, but of course, I make sure that I have a very good teachers as well for ballet class.
Yeah.
Or I've got Tamás Solimosi, director of Hungarian National Ballet. I did dance with him a few times, and he's just absolutely wonderful. He's such an inspiration for them. He's one of the best partners I've ever had, and we are teaching pas de deux. And he always he likes to show off. He just grabs me like this, and I'm not moving at all. He just goes and puts me on his shoulders, and all the students go like that. So he's a very popular teacher. He is there with us every year.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
But I also have Julio Bocade or Irek Muhamedov, Tamara Rojo. So some very nice, interesting people.
Yeah.
Friends.
Fabulous ones. So tell us, I believe that you're expanding your master classes beyond Prague.
Yes, I am. I already started in Tokyo. I actually been doing it for 4 years before the pandemic. Then we have to, of course, stop. And last summer we did it again in Tokyo, and I am trying to do it now in winter in Verona in Italy, and much smaller. You know, I am hiring a theater in Verona as well, but it's just 2 studios. Basically, I would call it mini master classes because in Prague is just so huge. So I just thought that would be nice to, you know, after Christmas, when everybody's go holidays, so maybe they would like to come and get fit before they go back to school.
Well, I think that might be a fantastic idea.
We'll see.
Well, best of luck with that. I was looking actually at the Verona class, and I saw that you've got possibilities of winning scholarships for other summer schools, or so there's talk about how there's more of a draw, because I'm not sure that how many of our members really know about how summer schools work like that.
Well, I think well, now it's I mean, I don't really do it in my master classes in Prague. It's just basically they come and then we work. They don't really get any scholarships from that. What is opportunity for them actually to get job? Because I do invite directors from ballet companies.
Right.
But like a lot of master classes, like especially the YGP, it's a little bit like a huge business now. And to attract a lot of students, you bring all these directors from ballet schools, and yeah, they give some scholarships, and yeah, it's a big business. I shouldn't really say it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is the way it's going. I mean, the YAGP, I don't know if people know, is a competition based in America, and I believe, Daria, you taught there recently. I don't know if you've done it before.
I did once in Barcelona, but now it's spreading absolutely everywhere in
Yeah,
Europe, absolutely everywhere, China, Japan, everywhere.
yeah, and you guest teach as part of. Then there's a competition, and then yeah, as you say, there's directors and possible job opportunities, because that's what, the competition's not really so much, I think, about the competition. Is that right? It's more about these opportunities
Yes,
being
yeah,
seen.
I think so. But it was at one point was quite bad because it was like 4 years old, 5 years old little kids. They had a point shoes on.
Oh, yeah,
They were competing with point shoes on. I mean, this is just so bad.
yeah,
You should start point work maybe when you are 12 years old. You can damage yourself.
yeah.
But yeah, they had a huge arguments and discussions and all sorts of things. But so they're not allowed to do it now.
Oh, well, that's very interesting to know, because I didn't know that. And there are, of course, many videos online of tiny tots, as you say, on point. And having done ballet myself as a child, that was a big no-no. And you were always being told you had to wait. One of the things that you must do, even now that you've left the Royal Ballet School and are now, trying to manage this portfolio of your career. I mean, it must be a juggling act, or is it early days on this?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like you've got your master classes in Prague, and then Tokyo, and then Verona, and now you've got your coaching that you're doing in Scotland, and maybe there's other opportunities to do master classes. Well, I think you did some at Dance Works, maybe YAGP. You've got all of this. It's like a portfolio of multiple strands, and yeah, it's interesting to me how you manage that.
Well, I'm going to Munich as well, or Norwegian National Ballet, and possibly Dutch National Ballet. I was already teaching there. No, I'm very busy. I just feel like I don't want a full-time job at the moment. I mean, I'm sure I would like to one day settle down, but at the moment, I just yeah, I just I don't know. I'm just discovering what actually I want. If I want to be ballet mistress or not, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, but so far it's my first week and I absolutely love it. Love it. So
Well,
I just basically want to be free now and go to a different companies or schools or master classes and yeah, enjoy myself.
and even while you're there, and it must have been the same at the Royal Ballet School, but even more so now, because you're being exposed to a whole bunch of students all over the place, they must still be looking to you for advice about anything really to do with their careers. And so, do you talk to them about things like how to choose companies, thinking about when to switch, or these kind of things?
Yes, of course. Yeah, there's hundreds of questions constantly. They even write to me, but I did say to them whenever they need any help, I'm there for them. I do enjoy that. I do enjoy helping them and advising them. Yeah, I've got students probably all over the world. Even here at Scottish Ballet, I've got how many? 5 students here. And it was so nice that they just come to you and they just friendly. Today I was rehearsing one of my students who became a principal dancer at Scottish Ballet, and he's doing Prince and Cinderella. So it was a real pleasure to work with him. I think he was a little bit nervous because he's like a ex-teacher rehearsing, but I was obviously treating him as an adult. So
Yeah, and I have to say, even increasingly at the upper school level, it's more about an adult type of relationship, I think. And I think that's changing in the ballet world. There's less calling adult dancers in companies boys and girls and things. It's more about calling them men and women or whatever, because they are adults and having to make their own choices. So the teachers need to be with that as well, I assume.
Yeah, I think I would say that it's basically teaching with respect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it like that we are teaching them as adults, but we are because they are not. They still need to learn lots of things. But yeah, we are teaching them with respect now. Well, at least I am.
I think that's a fantastic advance. And how would you advise a student or even a young dancer about the problems with partnering that can happen in a company? I mean, you've written your book, and everybody knows that they were good and bad partners, and you have to deal with that. How do you advise them about that?
Do you mean technically partnering or as a basically personality?
Well, I suppose both, really. But I mean, technically, of course, particularly with younger dancers, you're going to have less experienced partners. And, perhaps the ballerina has to take more responsibility. Well, probably the ballerina always should be on her leg. I think that's what Nureyev said.
Yeah, you know what? It's not just up to the man to just
Yeah, exactly.
on the leg. It's up to the woman as well. That's why it's called pas de deux. It's 50-50.
Yeah.
If the girls will come on a point and she's like that, it's difficult for him to hold her, but she has to come and arrive in a proper arabesque. If she doesn't work. She has to arrive in the correct position and he has to go and hold her in the correct position. It's yeah, my teacher was always teaching me that I have to do pas de deux like on my own. Instead of, like if I'm going to go and turn, so I take a lot of force. I don't just go on point and waiting for him to turn me. No.
Yeah.
But yes, personality, yes, that's an interesting one. Sometimes you just don't get on together. It can be difficult. Yeah, it can be very difficult if you are actually asked to dance maybe not just once but many times with someone that you don't get on. Yes, from my own experience, it's very hard. It can be really psychologically draining if the other side just don't understand you. And I'm not blaming the other side. Maybe it was a problem with me too. Again, it takes two.
Yeah, you've got to gel together. Yeah, exactly. And so it takes time with trying to find that. And then, of course,
sorry, yeah, you have to be professional. It is your job. It's your job is not to get on with them, but to actually produce a good show. So you can come and watch and go home and be really happy and come back again.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not interested in if we are getting on or not. Well, maybe you are, but not while you're watching the show.
Excellent. And is it different? Well, is it different working with now established dancers? Not just about partnering, but about just helping them to work together.
It's very different. Yes, it's very different because they are already experienced. They already been on stage. They already done some work repertoire, shows, which in the school they don't really know. You have to really teach them from the scratch. So in the companies they have the basic. They know already the basic. So you preparing them for different roles, and in different ballets it's a different partnering. If it's neoclassical, it's a little bit more complicated. So we are together trying to work out which grip where he should hold her would be the best to make the position the best. So it's it's more like a discussion, and because I have a little bit more experience, I'm there to basically help to make them look better.
It's a collaboration.
Yeah. But the dancers, they have to trust the teacher. If they don't trust the ballet master, it can be, I think, difficult as well. Yes, they have to basically trust the teacher. They still have to take the the advice. They need the teachers basically.
Yeah, well, I've seen some of the videos of rehearsing lifts and things like that, is to talk about, and the teacher is always hovering close by,
But it's
because
also because they don't see themselves, we see them. I see the
yes,
position, so my job is to basically make it look good, help them
right.
with that.
Mm.
Or even artistically as an artist, like a lot of dancers. Today I had a discussion with my ex-student, the one who is a principal already, and he's been principal for 2 years, so he hasn't danced many roles yet, and he didn't quite understand that you do have to practice the emotion in the studio as well.
Mm.
You cannot just practice the technique and then leave the emotion for stage. No, it's together. It's in a package. If you are playing Romeo, you cannot just go in the technique and then on stage think that it will come. No, it might not come. And he thought that, he is really passionate on the stage, but quite often you feel the passion here, but you are unable to show it. You need to learn how to show the emotion. It's not just here, you want to see it, and you are sitting far, so you need to also learn how far you can go, how little. So he didn't want to have it.
Well, that is interesting, because it must be quite hard practicing in the studio when you're doing things in sort of shorter chunks, and then you're trying to show an emotional arc, because you can't come out and be like overly passionate right at the first minute for the whole pas de deux, and never mind the whole ballet. Yeah.
You can. It's you are an actor.
Okay.
you are actor. Like if the actors, for film, they do 2 minutes and then they stop and they do 2 minutes. They go and they have a coffee, but they come back, and you don't know. You believe them. You are an actor. It's you are actor. If you watch Marianella Nunes, she's always doing everything full out, the feelings, everything. Even if they stop, okay, then they start again, and she's just yeah.
Yeah.
You are an actor. You so many times you are doing show and you don't feel like a Juliet. You had a bad sleep, whatever, you don't feel well. You definitely don't feel like a Juliet, but you have to act it. So it's not always there. You have to. Sometimes you fake it.
Yes, I think that's right. I was at a rehearsal recently, and I saw some, they were French, the Paris Opera Étoiles, and they could really turn it on just in a rehearsal, just start straight away. Something would go wrong in the rehearsal, and they'd stop and speak to the partner and say, "Oh, put your hand here," or whatever, and then straight back into it immediately like that. And I was just, I'm getting what you're saying there. It was really quite an amazing experience to see how they just switch on and off like that.
Yes, and if you don't get on with the partner, it's more difficult because you are not on the same line. I don't know how you say in English. On the same, there are 2 lines. Yeah, you don't get on the idea of the girl is like that and the man thinking like this instead of 1 line. And if you manage to basically be on that same line, it's unbelievable feeling. It's an unbelievable feeling, yes. And you don't really have this much through your career.
No.
You are very lucky, but no, but when you find it with somebody, I'm telling you, that's the best. I think that's why we are dancing.
Yeah. And are you willing to name some of those who you found that with?
Well, I find it with Vadim, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Yes, it's just I think it's the same culture, the same humor, language. I spoke Russian. No, we just really got on, and somehow we were surprised ourselves that maybe it's the same schooling. I've got Russian schooling as well. And whatever movement basically we did, we just went and did it, went for it, and we were exactly the same. I saw it on the video, and we were quite surprised ourselves when we saw it. It was just like wow, the same height of arms, fingers. It was just there.
Yeah.
And plus, what I think helped for I don't know for him, but definitely for me, is that I met him when I was quite mature ballerina, and I just didn't know if tomorrow is my last show or if I will manage to do extra shows. So I just went for it. I just thought, well, this is my last show. I'm just gonna go for it, and yeah, I didn't really care what other people think of me. I just went for it, and just the best. It's just the best.
Well, personally for me, I'm sure others have experiences that we might hear about in the chats. One of my great experiences of you was Manon with Friedemann Vogel. And that was a very special experience, and one of, yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful ballet. I'm sure you think about it many times.
Yes, for me was, yeah, there was amazing experience as well. Yes, it was just it was a bit shorter. We didn't dance for so long with Vadim. We danced a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
with Frida, yes, he's yeah, we did got on as well. I mean, a little bit different schooling, so it was not that easy. We had to find it, but as a people, we really got on and become very close friends. So I feel like I was very lucky to get this gorgeous man to dance Manon with me.
Explain a little bit about what you mean you had to work together a little harder to find it together.
It's well, it's the technique, for example, it's the partnering, it's also the emotions. You know, you have to find it together. Is you don't always have it straight away. You have to work on that as well. You know, like for example, I don't know, he would be giving so much, but at that moment I felt like maybe it should not be so much, and it did not fit. That's why we have a teacher to go and help us, you know, to say, well, it's not quite making sense what you are acting here, what you
Yeah.
are feeling. Yeah, and technically, of course, because he's got a different schooling, so he would grab me different way than I was used to. He would make slightly different positions. But no, such a pleasure to dance with him. Really a pleasure. And we did some galas together, some guestings where we performed Manon, Pas de Deux, or other, you know, ballets. No, beautiful person.
And then, so then that brings us back to your Scottish student that you're trying to teach the same things to now that you were trying to work on with Friedemann, that maybe didn't come so easily for you, that now you have to explain to these younger dancers about how to do that. So yeah, that is your experience and your value.
Yes, of course, yes, and I enjoy that. Yes, to all this the experience over what 30 years, maybe over 30 years, to actually, yeah, give it to somebody. I feel at the moment that is my reason to live. To I don't know if you can say it like this. Yeah, this is my I see it as a reason to live, to actually give everything I experience, everything I learn. So now I feel it's my time to give it, and I do enjoy.
And so that was part of your reason for leaving the Royal Ballet School as a teacher, was to try and get into this more professional coaching.
Yes, I wanted to do that. It's yeah, I was tired and I find it really hard. But it's not just that. I wanted to experience something else. I
Yeah.
just didn't want to get stuck with school and die in the school.
Yeah.
There's only one life, and I just wanted to experience more things in life and learn more things. I like to learn. Basically, I like challenge. Even if I would fail, it's still I learn from that. And I got a little bit, actually, I shouldn't say stuck at the Royal Ballet School, but it's quite a long time. So I just thought, if not now, then when? I am 52 years old, so I've been there nearly 10 years. I just thought it's time to do something else, and I want to experience to teach the professionals. But I will still teach students, of course. Yes, and I also enjoy private coaching one-to-one. That's very much interesting for me.
Oh, okay. There's yet another strand in your portfolio. I'm actually going to just ask this one question that's come up because it's kind of related to where we are now in chatting. So, and this is from Susan, And she says, you talk about the dancer needing to show the emotion, not just the technique. Is that aspect of the art being stressed in the schools, or is there more emphasis on getting the steps right?
You mean in the school, yes, to get the
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yes, it's very important to learn the technique first.
Yeah.
If you don't have the technique and you just have the emotions, then it's going to look like this, but you need to have the technique, ballet technique, so you can first hold yourself in for example, that simple arabesque. Once you are strong and you have the muscles strong to do that, then you go and you put the feelings into what mood you want to do the arabesque, how you want to do the arabesque emotionally, not just stepwise, but they do need to learn the technique first. And I see it in the upper school that there you start putting the artistry more, but White Lodge definitely technique. But there is a time like a repertoire or variations where you already adding the emotions. Of course, you have to.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've actually been thinking just about normal academic schools, non ballet related, where it's a very rigid structure in schools, and the creativity of kids often gets, I don't know what the word is. I speak English, but I still can't think what the word is. Kind of dampened, I guess, or even suppressed, and so. I'm thinking that in a ballet academy, vocational school type context, one wouldn't want to be suppressing the natural creativity of a student. And there must be some students where it's in everything they do, even if it's just at the bar.
No, the artistry is very important. But there is in the morning, maybe I said it wrong way. In the morning, there is a ballet class, and that is the training time. That's where you should train technique. You don't need to be emotional there. You are learning how to do pirouettes. And then in the afternoon, you have the rep where you obviously learning the artistry, you're learning the role, the whatever you're learning that in that repertoire or different kind of variations. You obviously going to do different way variation as a Juliet than as a Gamzati. So you do learn this difference. We do talk about it and we try, different things.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get their own personality out. I want their own input into the artistry. I'm not trying to put them in a box, everybody in one box. No, you feel this, you have to do this. No, I'm always trying to encourage them, how they feel, not how I feel. And that's great as well.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely important, because we as an audience don't want to come and see the same performance every night after night. You want to come and see different people doing it differently, and even actually each individual dancer changes over time. Probably every performance is different. I'm sure you can talk about that with your. I can't believe how many performances there are in this book. It's unbelievable. Hundreds of performances, well, almost of the main ballets, nearly hundreds. It's an incredible portfolio you've got.
But it's the interesting work is when you do one role and you have many shows.
Yeah.
If you do one role and you do just 2 shows, it's like the first show you are nervous, and then second show usually things goes wrong, and then it's over in the next ballet. In some companies it works like this, but in ENB we had a chance to do one role for a period of time, like Manon, for example. I did more Manons than Marianella ever done in her life, because we went on tour and it's like 25 Manons. And you get technically so strong that you don't even think about it, and then you can approach each show different way. You can
Adapt.
You can adapt. You can explore the role. You can play the role as slightly different every show. You can play the Manon as a completely in love, devoted, whatever, and another day a little bit of I don't know how to say it's nice.
Flirtatious.
Yeah, I wanted to say as a bitch, but that's not the correct thing. No, there's so many ways you can play with Manon, and that gives you great satisfaction.
Yes. Yeah, and it must be wonderful to now have that then with students, or now with principals that you're coaching as well. So I've got a question about a Scottish ballet here. It says, this is from Keith. He says, at Scottish, the choreographer is your director also. Is that helpful or more pressure to get it right? Just put you on the spot there.
Yeah, that's you mean pressure for me or for the dancers?
For you.
For me,
because he's got two roles. It's not like you've got Michael Corder and Wayne Eagling. You've got just Christopher. He's the both, the choreographer and the director.
So you mean for the ballet master like me, that is pressure?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it should be, but I don't feel it like that.
Well, that's good.
No,
that's interesting.
No, you know what? It's not a pressure, because I know Christopher for many years. We are actually very good friends. Plus, I've done many of his choreographies, and that's one of the reasons why he invited me, because I know his style, and he trusts me with that. So no, I feel the trust from him. I feel, yes, and he feels confident enough to actually leave me in the studio on my own. He trusts me, so yes, that's great. I don't feel pressure.
Well, I mean, if I can say, you have earned that trust over the years,
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, you have. And what a great position. I mean, to get a call to do a job like that must be really quite a boost. Yeah. In your career, you didn't have, I don't know, you had a number of choreographers that you worked with on new works. I mean, most dancers don't get to do an awful lot of new choreography, but you did, obviously. Particularly I'm thinking of the Snow Queen, but also things with Christopher. And then it's another collaborative effort, in the same way that you've got a collaborative effort going on in training new dancers in new roles, but the whole creation of a new role must be a whole different experience.
I feel like I didn't have enough opportunities.
Oh,
yeah. In the NB, that we cannot really, I think they couldn't really afford it, new productions and so on. So I felt like I didn't have enough opportunities. But I did have some. With each choreographer was different. Some choreographers, they just want it specifically like this, and they don't give you any free hand. But with some choreographers, they give you ideas, and they want to see what you come up with, and that's great. He's like the choreographer, he is directing you, and then you are able to actually go and have a lot of input in it, some your own personalities, and then he goes and he kind of frames it all into his idea. So that is a great work. And I had this with Christopher Hampson. Actually, he really trusts me. Even now when I'm rehearsing his Cinderella, he said, well, if you feel that this step doesn't look good on this person, you are free to change it. He said, just make it look good.
I have to say that is refreshing to hear.
Yeah, so he obviously trusts me with it.
Yeah, but also that he's willing to be flexible, because I'm not sure that in all companies and all cases that would be, allowed or whatever.
Yeah, no, of course it doesn't happen every time. Maybe more often not, because the choreographer really knows what he wants, and that's how it's going to be. But that is a hard work. That this is like it's like you are a dead dancer there, just doing what the choreographer says. that you're not allowed to look up here. No, because he wants it. I'm exaggerating, but I don't know. I didn't enjoy that. Basically, I
Yeah,
felt, why am I here then?
yeah, because it is in the end, you're the one taking responsibility on the stage at that moment as you come out of the wings. It is now what you decide to do.
It's just yeah, no, I didn't feel like it was me in it. I felt like a basically dead dancer who had to do like a machine. Yeah.
So what next?
What next? Well, I'm here till 9th of December when there is the opening night. After that, I am actually working with English National Ballet School in the
Okay.
trainee program for the dancers who are looking for a job as a professional dancer. So I'm basically preparing them. But I do this only on Monday and Tuesday, and only when I'm available. Actually, obviously now I cannot do it, but when I get back in December, I will do a few Monday, Tuesdays again, which is really nice work. And I'm gonna go home to Prague. Gonna give myself 2 weeks off, and then come back on. Oh no, don't come back. Actually, beginning of January, I'm doing the master classes in Verona.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will do few this trainee program. I'm also going to go to Czech Republic to company to work for 2 weeks. I'm going to go.
Is that working with professionals again, with the
Yes,
company?
company with professionals. Yes.
Yeah, and what are you going to be working with them on?
I'm going to give them class, and I'm going to be just working like extra coaching with the principal dancers. Not specific role, but basically to make them better. And I will go for 3 weeks to Munich company, also 1 week in the academy,
Mm-hmm.
the ballet academy. Yeah, and in May, Norwegian National Ballet, which I'm quite excited about it.
Excellent. What are you going to be working on in Munich?
I don't know yet, but I'll be 2 weeks with the company and 1 week with the ballet school.
Oh, okay. Because in fact, our next this is a segue for you, Susan. Our next speaker that we've got in person is going to be Loretta Summerscales, who is a principal in Munich. She's coming to us in December, and we're doing that in person. But of course, she was also originally a principal with English National Ballet.
I believe she's going to be guesting with them again, or
yeah.
she's already guesting, isn't she?
That's right. Yeah, she's scheduled to do Nutcracker in December, and then Swan Lake in the round.
She's a really good teacher. I had her in my master classes, and they just enjoyed her the most.
She was fantastic. Well,
there's a few, and she was able to explain it as well.
Yeah, it's a gift, isn't it? As you say, I mean, it can be learned how you do it better over time, but it is a gift. Some people have it naturally to be able to explain it. And I know in my own career, somebody said to me early on, it's one thing for you to understand it, but it's a whole nother level of understanding to explain it to somebody else. And I think judging on where your students have ended up, that you have managed to do that. So I think I've come to the end of my questions. I wonder if there are any more questions out there, or we can go back and talk about some of the highlights of your career. If you want to talk about those, what would be some, I mean, you've had some wonderful experiences, coming straight out of the school to becoming a principal, I think top soloist at Czech National Ballet. I mean, this is going back quite a long way. When you reflect on it now, what would you say to yourself should have been the things you should do or not do when you were 18?
I would advise myself to work harder.
You're joking? You know, the impression is that you work very hard.
Yeah, I know. I apparently I did, but I feel like I could do better. Well, I wish I would have the same knowledge like I had before I stopped dancing when I was younger. You know, but it obviously doesn't work like that. You have to discover yourself. Well, I would work harder in the school already. I was quite lazy, actually. I was very talented, and because they were giving me all the roles, I thought I was working hard. So I thought, okay, maybe I deserved it, but I didn't work hard. I didn't know. I thought I was. And well, what I used to do, for example, we used to get 2 marks in the school. One was for the technique, and another one was for how hard you work. And I had always the best mark for for the technique, the way I was dancing, but always like actually the worst for how much input I put in it. No, because I used to, during the class, I used to go and raise my hand and ask if I can go to bathroom. So I went to bathroom and I just turned the tap on and I, smashed water on myself. So I looked like I was sweating. So it looked like I was working hard. Those sort of things I was doing. I wish I wouldn't waste my time with that. And also when I was at Czech National Ballet, it was the same. They just basically, they were training me to become a principal dancer. I went into the company already as a principal dancer. They gave me the contract straight away. I was never in corps de ballet. So, they kind of were constantly pushing me. So I didn't understand that I have to push myself.
Yeah.
Only when I got to actually ENB and met Derek Dean. Yes. Then I realized that actually I was not working hard, that you can work even harder than you thought.
Yeah. Yes, but perhaps with a different style of teaching or of cajoling.
I guess.
I'm sure many people.
I learned a lot from that as well. I learned a lot.
For your own teaching or for your own self? Both.
For my own teaching. You you don't learn only from the good teachers, you learn even from the ones who are struggling to maybe deliver it the way they should. So you learn.
Yeah. Yes, I can understand that. Yeah. I'm sure everybody here or many people here saw the Agony and Ecstasy on TV. I can't remember which channel that was, but it was very insightful and quite damning on the relationships that can be had, or the way that certain people do certain things. I think was quite shocking for the audience anyway to see that, and not unusual, I don't think, either. So yeah, it's good to know that the way that, shall we say, the leaders, whether they're the choreographers or directors or teachers or whatever, bring on the younger professional dancers or the students these days is changing, and we're very glad to learn that from you.
I feel like those people who are have the need to bully others, the weak ones, I believe that they have their own problems. That there is some psychological problems, that they maybe did not achieve what they wanted to achieve. They are maybe insecure, and now they are in the position when they have the power. I believe that they have a problem. I don't have the problem, and at the end of the day, actually, I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Even that this sounds like I am really strong. I did have a really bad times when I was actually going to ENB for classes, and I knew Derek was there, and I was like pain in my chest.
Yeah.
And I don't give up that easily. Plus, when you have a child, the child goes to a school. You just don't go and drag the child wherever you want to travel. To change the countries. So you do a lot of things for your own child as well. It's not really about you as well again. So you find a way how to cope with that, how to
Well, and how to be, yes, I think it's a very valid point that once you have children, you try to be a better person for your children. And you thought you were a person until that point, and then you realize how much you can be even better.
Probably if I wouldn't have a child, I would probably leave ENB, because why to waste time to work for somebody who's I don't know, not really appreciating you.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I think he did, but yeah, he was maybe trying to get the best out of me. But I'm sorry, but it's not maybe the correct
best way to,
maybe not the correct way to. Yes, you get the best out of them, but then how does the dancer feel?
yeah, really damaged psychologically.
Yeah. Exactly, you can really damage the dancer. It's
yeah. Well, congratulations to you for standing up to that.
that I survived. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, well, that too, but also no. But I mean, it does come across in that documentary that you react with laughter, which helps to also diffuse it. But you also it's obvious that you're stoical and you're going to just carry on and do the best that you can do, and then it gets appreciated in the end. So
I did it for myself. I wanted to be the best for myself. I didn't do it for him.
yeah,
I did it for myself. I just wanted to prove all my fans and the audience that this is my best. I'm doing the best to my own ability, basically. And if you don't like it, don't take it.
well, I think the audiences came, so that's the proof in the pudding. One thing we haven't talked about is your photography. I know you've mentioned that you decided you couldn't make a career out of it or whatever, but I imagine it's a passion that's never going to leave you. And I saw some recent photographs of, I think, Lauren Cuthbertson in The Cellist, and also Maya and Matthew, who obviously were in the Don Quixote yesterday. But you took some rehearsal photos of them, and you're fitting that in because you've got more time now. Maybe this is a passion that can regrow.
Not that I have more time. I always find the time to take photos because the school and the company, they're just next to each other, and whenever I had a break, I went and I was taking pictures. Yes, I love it. I enjoy taking photos of Vadim from different sort of angles in the backstage, not just from the front like I've done now a few times. And I am hoping one day maybe I can find a publisher and have a photographic book just with him, his life, because I've got so many pictures since he started to dance.
Wow.
So maybe, hopefully, one day somebody will be interested to publish that.
Anybody out there now?
Who wants to sponsor?
Yeah. Well, it would be good to. It would be good to try that out. Well, that would be fascinating, and I'm sure people would be interested in that because Vadim's book that he has brought out is obviously more like this interview. It's like him chatting to you when you read the book with some photos, but obviously not a huge portfolio of photos, which would be rather wonderful to have. So I hope you can make that happen at some stage. I did want to say I'm really glad that you didn't take up gardening as a profession, because that would have been a great loss to the ballet world, because you've got so much experience to pass on to all these different components of the ballet community, including ourselves. And there have been a number of comments to say what a very interesting talk this has been. So I really want to thank you for that. And for just being you and being pleasant and charming and open and honest and even revealing some difficult things. So thank you for talking to us.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It means a lot to me, actually, because when you stop dancing, you feel like the whole world forgot about you. It's like okay, next. So that's how it feels, and it is like this, really. So thank you so much for inviting me and listening to my boring story.
No, they're not boring at all, and I'm sure you've got many more. I mean, we've had well over 80 people here today, and that's really good from our community, and I'm sure there are others who wish they could have been here. I know I had an email earlier this afternoon saying, how can I watch it later? So there will be others who will catch up in time. So really, thank you. It's been absolutely charming. I've had a delightful evening. Over to you, Susan.
Thank you.
I think we've all had an absolutely wonderful night. Thank you so much. That was absolutely fascinating. Daria, I think if you can get that book out, you will find it's a bestseller with the London Ballet Circle, and we would like you to do a signing for us. So we'll get our bid in for that first.
Yeah, I need to get the publisher first or someone to sponsor it. It's not, yeah.
I know.
Easy, but
hopefully it will be a much loved book. Thank you. You have given so much to the world of ballet, and you still got so much more to give, and what you're giving to the students, the dancers, only increases our appreciation and our enjoyment of ballet. So thank you. You have the most daunting schedule, but obviously you thrive on it. And so we all come out winners. So thank you. It's just been great. And Fiona, I think you have a future in broadcasting.
Oh,
Thank you very much. Your maiden voyage has been great.
no, I think I have to say thank you to Daria. I don't think I'd have agreed to do it if I hadn't known it was her, because I know she's easy to talk to and would talk a lot without being prompted. So thank you.
Well, it's us that have come out ahead. So thank you both again.